Cutler. I'm here on the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast. It is already the 2nd of December, and the year is moving along, and we're doing what we do. We're still here. We're still community, and we're still building community. We're still maintaining connectivity. We're just doing what we do, right? If you're passing by my channel for the first time, do me a favor, stop. I only need 1,800 seconds. We're going to talk about some heavy stuff tonight, but this channel is really about motivation. It's about inspiration. It's about making sure that we show up a little bit better tomorrow than we did today. It doesn't mean that today was a loss or a flop or that it went wrong or right or anything bad happens. It just means that we're taking the time to see how we can get better every day. You know, little by little, that's how the victory is won. Little by little, that's how success is realized. Little by little, that's how the victory is achieved, right? So we're doing this thing little by little, and I'm so glad to have what we call ourselves a community of winners. That's what we decided we would call ourselves the last time we chatted. We are indeed a community of winners, and we are winning together. We're winning as we are driving and riding along the highway of life, and we're reading the billboards along the highway. And each time we read a billboard, a proverbial billboard, we're taking that and we are applying it to our lives, and we're saying, how can we become just a little bit better tomorrow than we were today? I want to ask you all this. How are you all dealing with the sadness of the holidays? How do you deal with the grief of the holidays? That's what we're going to talk about. But we're going to talk about it from a very encouraging perspective. We're going to talk about it from a healthy perspective. I'm not coming to you as an expert. I'm just coming to you as a fellow passenger along the highway. Because what I do realize is that it's something that some of our fellow passengers is something that we all deal with from time to time, especially during the holidays. So I want to talk about that. I'm going to do it as soon as I come right back, but I want to ask you to go ahead. If you haven't, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel, because it is about motivation. It's about inspiration. It is about empowering us to show up a little bit better tomorrow than we did today. So please go ahead and subscribe. And once you subscribe, click on the notification bell, because it lets you know whenever I've gone live, whenever I've uploaded new content, all that kind of neat stuff. And do me a favor, I want you all to tell somebody that Let's Talk to Cutler is on the air. So go and get them and then bring them over to my channel. And I'm going to shout out the LTTC VIPs in just a moment. I'll do all that. We're getting to this conversation, this heavy conversation, and we're going to see if we can make it as light as we possibly can. But it's something that we need to talk about, okay? I'll do that. I promise you. As soon as, listen, if you all go and get somebody and bring them back with you, I promise I'll be right here. Tell them, come on, let's talk to Cutler. I'll be right back.
Let's talk to Cutler. One more thing, like, subscribe and share. Come on, let's talk to Cutler.
All right, I told you all I would be here. If you all were here, I would be here. I want to shout out the LTTC VIPs. Those are the Let's Talk to Cutler VIPs. And they are different each day, each evening, each night. Whenever we show up, they're different. I usually announce the first 3 people who jump into the chat, at least the first 3 people that I can see on my end, because some people have said, listen, I was there, but you didn't call my name. I apologize, you all. So let me just shout out the LTTC VIPs for tonight, the ones that I see. Annie Cutler says, let's ride, get aboard. Tracy Johnson says, hey, everyone, get ready for the ride. Nikki Cornikia Smith says, good evening, everyone. All right, and so a good evening to you all. A special shout out to Linda Martin, who says, good thankful Thursday evening. And it is a thankful Thursday evening. So I want us to get started. You all know what we usually do. We usually start talking, and we've based our conversation for the past year and a half, a year or so, on this book right here, Billboards to Better, 366 daily sources of motivation and inspiration along the highway of life. It just simply means there is a quote for every single day. There is a quote, and the quote gives us a chance to examine ourselves, examine our journey, examine our travels, and see how can I show up a little bit better tomorrow than I did today. That's what we've been talking about. And so we've been doing it. That's my 7th book. It's over there. It's available over on Amazon.com. So you can just go over there and get it. You certainly don't need it to join the conversation. It helps. It just gives you an opportunity to have all those quotes available. All right. So I want to make sure that you know how to get that. So go on over there and get it. What I usually do is talk about, I usually will talk about, 2 or 3 of the quotes, unpack them, and that's what our discussion is about each evening. And certainly for the past week or so, we talked about desserts and baking and cooking and all of that kind of stuff. But I want to get back to the quotes for just a moment. And I only want to look at one quote, typically because this is a Thursday. I do the quotes for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But I want to focus on the quote for Wednesday only, Wednesday, December 1st. I want to focus on that quote. By the way, this is just I'm just dropping this just to let you all know a part of my life. The December the 1st was the day when we certainly stop and we acknowledge one, World AIDS Day. 2, we acknowledge in history the time when the day when Rosa Parks, the mother of the civil rights movement, did what she did. I have been so blessed in my life. I was 18 years old, you all, and I had the privilege of meeting Ms. Rosa Parks. I was 18 years old. I had the privilege of meeting her. And do I remember what she said? Not at all. I don't remember what she said. But what I do remember is how her energy and how her spirit was so pervasive in the room that evening. I will never forget that. And it was so obvious and apparent to an 18-year-old, that I was standing in the presence of greatness and great humility at the time. So I just wanted to share that with you all. It was just neat as I remembered, because we're going to talk about remembering. I want to go to the quote for December the 1st. It simply says this. It says, the same way we want Jesus to remember us, he wants us to remember him. The same way we want Jesus to remember us, he wants us to remember him. Now, I know where some of y'all may think that I'm going with that quote, but I'm not necessarily going there. All right. I'm not necessarily going there, because I want to talk about handling grief during the holidays. And this is just going to be the first part of a conversation, part one of a 2-part conversation, because I'm keenly aware of the fact that since I started this platform, many of us have lost loved ones. You all know I've been very public about the fact that during this time since I've been on this broadcast, that I lost my dad. That was just heart-wrenching, heartbreaking. And many of you all remember our good friend. She was my cousin, but more like my aunt. Many. So when the producers used to come on and they used to shout out to the various people when we were on another platform, and even here on this platform, here on YouTube, some of the producers would say, hey, I see this one and that one. I see Cousin Minnie, and Cousin Minnie, who was like my aunt, she's passed since we were doing this. And then some of you have buried parents, some of you have buried mothers, some of you have buried spouses, some of you have buried siblings, and even children and friends and what have you. So I want to talk about, because I want to talk about how do we handle grief during the holidays, not necessarily that we experienced a loss during the holidays, but how do we handle grief during the holidays? This quote from December the 1st right here, it's one of my favorite, you all. And please do a thumbs up if you're enjoying this conversation, or at least once we get into the meat of it, because I want to know if you're finding it very helpful. But this quote is one of my favorites because it reminds me of one of our greatest needs in humanity, one of our greatest desires, one of our greatest hopes, and that is to be remembered. That's one of our greatest hopes. We live so that we can be remembered. Everyone wants to be remembered. So if you believe this account, if you believe this narrative, one of the thieves on the cross looked at a dying Savior and said, when you come into your kingdom, remember me. Everybody wants to be remembered. And just a few days before that, Jesus himself was having supper with the disciples, and he told them, whenever you come together like this again, remember me. In humanity, we live because we want to be remembered. We make impressions. We make impacts on people because we want to be remembered. And so I want to hear, as we're talking, as we're chatting, I want to hear how you handle grief during the holidays. I want to hear what you have to say, but I also want to share some things to let you know how I deal with it, and what my suggestion might be. All right. One of my greatest realizations is that love never dies. Love never dies. People die, but our love for them never ever dies. So it seems logical. It makes sense to me that we remember and that we even grieve their passing and their deaths for the rest of our lives. I know a few of you said, yeah, I would love to talk about this. Cutler, I would love for you to talk about it because I'm dealing with a loss. I know some of you who are here in the chat with me, you have people in your lives who lost dear close ones just recently, and that is not lost on me at all. That is not lost on me. So one of my greatest realizations is that love never dies, and because love doesn't die, people die, but our love for them doesn't. So we're gonna forever grieve them, you all, and we remember people. In the words of Dr. Maya Angelou, we remember people not necessarily because of what they did or what they said, but because of how they made us feel. No greater words were spoken than that. We remember people. We may not remember what they said, what they did, where they worked, their degrees, but we remember them because we remember how they made us feel. And for some of us who try to navigate the holidays while managing this emptiness that we sometimes feel, the truth of the matter is that the holidays are not always so happy. They're not always so joyful, and they're not always so merry. May I be honest and very transparent this evening? But when you have suffered a loss, understand there is no right way. There is no right or wrong way to approach a milestone time or a milestone holiday while carrying your grief. There's no right way. There is no manual that fits all of us, that tells us how to handle grief, how to carry it during the holidays or any day for that matter. So at the core of our chat and our dialogue this evening, I come with an offering. At the core of our dialogue, of our chat, you all, I come with an offering. And my offering is the power to be kind to yourself. That is my heartfelt offering this evening. It's the power to be kind to yourself, even as you're handling and managing grief during the holiday. Because however you navigate this season, and I'm going to try to be very sensitive and try not to bust out in tears myself because I'm managing my own grief. But however you navigate this season, however you manage your grief, I want you to be kind to yourself. And I'm going to talk about this again in another segment when I have some friends and colleagues who have lost spouses and parents and children. I'll invite them to our next conversation. But I wanted, during our first formal conversation, I wanted us to have this conversation this evening. And I wanted to do something special for all of us who find ourselves dealing with grief over the holidays. So please stick with me, because near the end of this broadcast, I'm going to do something special for all of us who find ourselves dealing with grief over the holidays. Let me just put it out there. I'm not a trained grief counselor, but I'd like to share with you all some things that I have discovered, some things that have worked for me. Is that okay? The first thing, and I'll try to pop these out on the board just so that you can get them as I'm talking. The first thing, you all, that I suggest: ignore the pressure from other people. Ignore the pressures from others and check in with yourself. Ignore the pressures from others and check in with yourself. I'm going to try to post these. Let me see. I've tried to put them somewhere. Ignore the pressure from, there we go. Ignore the pressure from others and check in with yourself. Cutler, what in the world does that mean? If there is an event that you don't want to attend, don't feel pressured by other people to go. If you don't want to go, don't go. If you want to go, then go right ahead. But don't ignore the pressure and check in with yourself. Ask yourself, how do you feel, self? How are you feeling at this moment? Do you want to go? Yeah, we can listen to and listen to the advice and guidance of others, but check in with yourself. Ignore pressures from others and check in with yourself. If you want to go, go. If you don't want to go, go, don't go. All right. Make sure that you're clear with yourself. And then the second thing I want to encourage you all, be okay. Be okay. I'm going to post these because I want these to be seen. Be okay with two sets of emotions. It's what I call dual emotions, you all. Be okay with dual emotions. Look, dual emotions, absolutely. Over the holidays, you all tell me if this is making sense. Over the holidays, you're going to experience positivity, but you might experience some moments of sadness and somber. That's two sets of emotions. So be okay with those dual emotions. No, it doesn't make you a lunatic or anything of that nature. It means that you're human. You have the capacity to feel multiple things at one time. So it's okay to experience the positivity of the holiday while at the same time dealing with the sadness of missing your loved ones. It is okay. Because here's what I know. Missing them does not mean that you have to deny yourself of any kind of enjoyment. It would never be disrespectful of my father for me to have a good time during the holiday. Yes, absolutely, I will miss him. And I'll deal with the sadness of his not being around. Yes, absolutely, I'll deal with the sadness of missing my cousin, my Aunt Minnie, who's no longer here. Yes, I'll deal with the sadness of that. But missing them does not mean that I have to deny myself of the enjoyment of the holiday, right? Because you all know how sometimes we have the complex, we have that complex of dealing with dual emotions. Thank you. Tracy says, I know all about those dual emotions. Absolutely. And sometimes you're balancing those emotions and you're wondering, am I okay? Yes, you're okay. Yes, you are fine. It's called the peaks and the valleys, the ups and the downs, and the highs and the lows. Deal with them. And sometimes while you're coming down from the high to the low going up to the high is going to meet. And you'll deal with the high and the low at the same time. You'll deal with the peak and the valley. You'll deal with the ups and the downs at the same time. And it is okay. It is okay. And then what else? What else would I suggest? Yes, the next thing that I would suggest you all, as you are remembering your loved ones, as respectful as I can be, here's what I have to say. Fill their roles, but not their shoes. Fill their roles, but not their shoes. Let me see if I can put that up. Yes, fill their roles, but not their shoes. I am keenly aware that no one will ever take the place of your loved ones. No one will ever take the place of your loved ones. But perhaps you can start planning early for the holidays. You can start thinking in advance. And you can find someone to do the things that your loved one used to do with you if you so choose. Maybe you had a friend or family member, you all got together and you wrapped gifts all the time. So maybe you can find someone to fill that role, not their shoes, but fill that role. Maybe there was someone that you went shopping with during the holidays. Maybe it was the person that you attended concerts with. Or maybe that person at all of the family dinners carved the turkey and that person's no longer here. Maybe that is the person who always made the toasts at the events. So maybe you can plan in advance to see if possible. I'm not suggesting that you have to do all this, but maybe you can try to fill that role, but not their shoes. Because we are so unique. When we come here, we are so unique that no one would ever fill our shoes. But perhaps some of the things that individual did, we can get other people to do those things. I hope that's helpful. I hope that's beneficial to somebody. All right. I hope that we can find it helpful that, yeah, we can never replace anybody. We can never fill anybody's shoes. But the roles that they played during the holidays, maybe, just maybe, there is a possibility that we can find somebody to take on those roles. Maybe so-and-so's not here to carve that turkey anymore. Maybe so-and-so's not here to offer the toast. but maybe we can find somebody to fill that role, not those shoes. All right. And then I want to say this to us, you all. I want to say this to us. The next thing I want to offer us is to be here. Be here for those who remain. Be here for those who remain. Let me see. I want to get that up. Let's be here. There we go. Let's be here for those who remain. Because your family, I have no doubt, your family, your friends, your loved ones, they want you to live. They want you to enjoy the holidays. So as much as you can, be here for them, for the ones who remain. It is not disrespectful. It is not the loss of sanctity for us to be here for those who remain. It is no disrespect to those who have gone on. So even if you have to, even if you can't fill their roles, if that becomes too difficult, maybe we can create new routines if you have to. Maybe we can do that. But one of the things that I want us to check and try to get in place is this whole notion of survivor's remorse. I will never forget the day when my great-grandfather's brother died. It was his last brother. I will never forget the day when he died. And yes, it was over the holidays. It was during the holidays. And the first thing my great-grandfather says is, I wish it would have been me. It should have been me. And so many times we live with survivor's remorse and we think they deserve to be here and I don't. And we put our good and their good on a scale, and we go through all of these algorithms about who deserves to be here, and we live with survivor's remorse. To the extent that you can, my heart goes out to you, and I beg of you to challenge those feelings of survivor's remorse. You are still here because the Creator desires you to be here. And because your loved ones are gone, it does not mean that the Creator loved them any less. So to the extent that we can, let's put that survivor's remorse in check. And let us be here. Let us be here for the ones that remain. All right? I love this. I'm going to Cracker Barrel Saturday because that was my mother's Christmas shopping and lunch spot. Hopefully I get through it. You'll get through it. I tell you what, listen, hang on. Angela Jones, I see you. I'm going to reach out to you. Yes, but you all, let's think about these things. Be here for the one who remains. Let me know as I'm giving you all these tidbits and these helpful hints. Let me know the kinds of things that you do. All right. What else would I suggest? Let me see if I could put it up here. Let's see, that was be here for those who remain. You all, when it comes to this next one, let me see. Know your triggers and your tickers. Now, I know that sounds silly, but I mean it from the bottom of my heart. And I put it out there in a comical way, but know your triggers and your tickers. You might not be able to do anything about it, but at least know what's going to trigger a certain emotion. Know what's going to trigger. That's why, Angela, I loved your comments. You said, I'm going to go to Cracker Barrel because that was my mother's favorite shopping place during the holidays. I understand because I love Cracker Barrel too. But so know that. And you said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through it. So at least you know your trigger. And we need to know our triggers, you all. It might be a certain smell, a certain song, a certain TV show, a certain movie, a certain food, a certain place. Anything can be a trigger that triggers the sadness. Just be aware of it. You might not be able to do anything about it, but at least be aware of it. Like, this is going to trigger me. It's not going to catch me off guard. I know this is what sets me, this is what pushes me over. I have a stool in my house that my dad used to sit on whenever he came to visit me. He would sit on that stool and he would sit there and he would turn to the stove and turn to the sink and he would sit there. And that stool is my trigger. I'm aware of it. I know it. All things Christmas are my trigger because Christmas Day we always spent with my great-grandfather. So anything Christmas is a trigger when it comes to him. At least know your triggers. You may not be able to do anything about them, but at least know them, you all. And then not only your triggers, but Cutler, what do you mean about tickers? Know what keeps you going. Know what makes you tick. Know what settles you. So just as you know what triggers you and pushes you into a space of sadness, know what keeps you ticking, what keeps you moving, what keeps you marching, what keeps you going forward. It might be for you taking a walk. So you know what your ticker is. You know what keeps you going. It might be breathing deeply. It might be listening to music. It might be dancing. I love to dance. So one of the things that I would do, and sometimes my mom calls, I would call my mother. I may be out of breath because I just finished dancing all by myself. It's one of my tickers. It may be writing for some of you. It may be praying or meditating or talking. I don't want to support some things, but it might be taking a drink during the holidays. Listen, I'm just trying to help us all. Know your triggers, but know your tickers as well. Know what keeps you going. Right? We got to know these things. G Dubs, good to see you. Listen, G Dubs, let me know if this is your first time, but if not, you all, let's say a special good evening to G Dubs. It's always good to have new faces and friends and fellow passengers in the room. But we're talking about how to handle grief during the holidays. You know, usually I'm really upbeat and trying to inspire, but what I want to do is encourage us and empower us so that when tomorrow shows up, that we are empowered to handle the tomorrows. We are empowered to handle the tomorrows of dealing with grief. I'm a subby. Good to see you. All right. So I'm telling you all, I'm telling you this. I want us to be empowered to handle our grief during the holidays. So again, know your triggers and know your tickers. All right, I got a couple more. I got a couple more. You all just please just hang in with me if you don't mind. So not only do I want you to know your triggers and know your tickers, but here's something else, you all. Turn your hurt into help. Turn your hurt into help. Cutler, what on earth do you mean? Well, here's what I mean. Volunteer at a shelter, help out in a soup line, give to a charity, to do something, because for me, what works for me, what helps me, I enjoy helping people. And even in the midst of my sadness, knowing that I've helped somebody else really does lift me. No, knowing that I've made somebody else's day just a little brighter, it helps me. And the sadness that I may feel in a moment is somehow counteracted, is somehow balanced by the fact that I brought a little ray of hope, a little ray of sunshine to somebody's day, even in the midst of my sadness. That's how I deal with grief all year long. Of course, I think about my loved ones like anybody else. I think over the course of this pandemic about all the loved ones, the family members and friends that I lost. I think about all of that. But what kept me going, you all, I'm not going to do this, but what kept me going was this. That's why I tell you all, you have no idea how much I value you all, because the fact that I was able to come here and talk about what I was going through, the fact that I was able to come here and hopefully offer hope to somebody else, that lifted me, the thought of possibly helping somebody else. It helps. It helps. With all that you go through, with all the sadness that you experience, I promise you, help somebody else and watch your sadness. Your sadness is not going to disappear, but your sadness will be counteracted by the thought that I helped somebody else. All right? I helped somebody else. I love it. Hattie says to sing Daddy's favorite song, Precious Lord. Mama loved to hear me sing a holy night. That gets me through it all. Yeah, Hattie, that's right, cousin. We have to do what works. Remember the things that work, you all. And then not only do I want you to turn your hurt into help, but here's another one. may I offer you this? Remember, it sounds crazy, but remember 911. Now, I'm not telling y'all to call the police on anybody. That's not what I'm suggesting. But a friend and dear brother of mine told me that his grandmother always said 911 means peace. Think about it. When you call the emergency services, 911 means peace. It means this chaos is going to settle. And when I think about our reasons for calling 911, you all, it's because we are in a crisis. So I want us to learn how to construct and prepare a 911 team. Build a 911 team and call on your friends and your family members and let them know when you are not all right. Call on professionals if you have to. Call on the professional counselors and the professional therapists. Call on them if you have to. There is no shame. There's no stigma attached with therapy. Not at all. So build your 911 team. There is nothing wrong with that. You all heard me say it earlier. What is my offering this evening? I offer us the power to be kind to ourselves. And in so doing, you all, please don't suffer in silence. Don't suffer in silence. Don't deal with grief in silence. This is, again, I am not a trained counselor, grief counselor. I'm just offering you all things that I've learned in my little life of almost 60 years. One of my uncles, I will never forget. One of my uncles, actually my great uncle, one of my uncles had a heart attack the month after his father died. Perhaps it was because of health issues, but perhaps it was also because he suffered in silence and did not talk about how he was affected by his father's death the previous month. So he died the next month on his father's birthday, December 24th. Don't suffer in silence. Remember 911. Remember, build your core of 911, your 911 team. Let's not suffer in silence. All right, y'all don't do this because I'm trying to read your chats and then try not to cry, right? Because these are heavy moments. This is the reality of what we deal with. So K Sharp, I'm glad you found this channel. I'm glad we have this community to lift our spirits and encourage our hearts. Angela, yes, let's not suffer in silence. Yvonne, find a team. Build yourself a 911 team. MV, absolutely, my friend. We have to know our triggers. We got to know our triggers. Miss Odessa, I'm glad this is helping you because it's helping me, and you all have been a part of the community that helped me. All right? G-Buzz, my friend, I get it. The holidays for a long time, my friend, they weren't my cup of tea either. They just were not my cup of tea because my routine, our family routine of generations was ruined by the death of my great-grandfather. So he left 3 generations after him, and we were just completely lost in terms of what to do. Linda, you're right. Don't be ashamed to seek counseling. So let me tell you, may I tell you all, may I just give you another step just in my process? I want to give you just the final step in my process in terms of what works for me. And here's what I want to handle. I want to offer something special for you all. When it comes to your loved ones, you all do the best you can. Keep them present to the extent that you can. Keep them present. Recall and remember them as often as you want. Honor your traditions. So when you say you're going to do the things that you did with them, absolutely honor your traditions. There is a proverb that says they never die unless we stop calling their names. So I want to do something special, if I may, this evening. I want to do something special, if I may. I want I want you, let's see, I'm just reading. Friends call and check on me because they knew my dad and loved him as well. They make sure the family is good. Juanita, and I think that's wonderful. So that's building a team. And my friend, you right, don't suffer in silence. Allow them to call you, allow them to check on you. And so here is what I believe, you all. I believe that proverb that says, I believe the proverb that says they never die unless we stop calling their names. So I want to do something special, you all. I want you to just put, as you remember your loved ones, I want you to just put their names in the chats, and I want to respect the sanctity of them and the privacy of your family. So if you just want to put their first names, that's fine. You can put their last names if you want, if you choose. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to light a candle. And as I light the candle, I want you to put the names of your loved ones in the chat because we're calling their names. We're going to call their names because they're going to live on because we're going to continue to call their names. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to light this candle, and I'm going to light this candle in the memory. I want this thing to work though. I may have to go get a match, y'all. So let's see. You all put the names in the chat, and I promise you, yes, things happen, right? Let's see. I'm going to get a match, but you all just put their names in the chat. I promise you I'll be right back. Keep calling those names. I promise you all that thing lit and it worked just beforehand, but I'm going to do this because I want to light this candle. And I want to light this candle in honor and memory. Yes, I want to light this candle in honor and memory of all of those that we've lost, all of those that we remember. So we are remembering them. We're remembering them as Dr. Maya Angelou says, we may not remember what they said, we may not remember what they did, but we remember how they made us feel. So that's why I'm lighting this candle, and that's why we're calling these names. They may not have necessarily passed during the holidays, but we struggle sometimes over the holidays because we remember them. And it helps us. Sometimes we get through the holidays and we aren't able to tell people how we feel and what we're going through. But no more, we're not going to suffer in silence. We aren't going to suffer in silence. We're going to make our way through this. We're going to be this community that's going to help each other get through. So call their names and may they always live. May they always live, forever live in your heart. So that's why I've lit this candle. You're writing the names and I've lit the candle. May they never die because we'll never stop calling their names. So I'm lighting this candle for all of those, you all, as I prepare to go off, as I prepare to end our conversation this evening. I'm lighting this candle for all those whom we love. I'm lighting this candle for all those whom we remember. And I'm lighting this candle for all those whom we yet mourn. I want to say thank you all so much. I want to say thank you so much. If no other evening, for sharing this evening with us. Grief is a powerful thing, but I want us to be empowered to handle it. Grief is a powerful thing, but I want us to be empowered to handle it. K Sharp, my friend, may this empower you to make it through the holidays. All right? And you all, please share this. Share this broadcast with as many people as you know who are dealing with grief over the holidays. And my prayer is that you will be empowered to show up a little bit better tomorrow than we did today. Thank you so much for spending these moments with me. I'm going to wipe my nose and I'm going to go off the air. But thank you all. Thank you all so much. Listen, let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Keep your heads up. Keep your hopes up. Stay safe. Stay sane. And know this, from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. Good night and God bless.